Well, joining us now is Tamara Alrifai. She is Director of External Relations and the spokesperson for the UNRWA. She joins us from Oman. Thank you very much for being on this news hour. As I just mentioned, there's almost 500,000 refugees in Lebanon. Has it really just got to the point where many have no option but to try and flee by boat?
Hi, Tom. The answer is yes. I heard Zaina before me say most of the things that we at UNRWA have been saying for years, which is the situation of Palestine refugees in Lebanon is reaching such a desperate level that they are willing to risk their lives along these perilous routes if there is hope on the other side. And the other side always looks better than what many of them describe as hell. Most Palestine refugees in Lebanon live in 12 camps across the country, but as you and Zaina said, they're marginalized, disenfranchised, barred from owning property, barred from professions, and the economic and financial collapse of Lebanon, particularly this last year, has hit at the most vulnerable first. The Palestinian refugees are amongst the most vulnerable, more so because unlike other communities or groups in Lebanon, apart from UNRWA, the UN Palestine Refugee Agency, they have no one to care for them. Whereas usually community leaders or sectarian leaders all tend to spend money on their communities. Nobody spends money on Palestine refugees except for UNRWA, which itself is facing immense financial challenges.
You said if they stay, it looks like it's hell for them there. Can you just give us a sense of what it's like in these 12 refugee camps?
Overcrowded, no basic infrastructure, everything is makeshift, but that's a makeshift that's lasted since 1948, so it's a very long makeshift. I actually invite anyone who visits Lebanon to go and visit one of the refugee camps and to see how it's unlivable. Everything is below the basic understanding of a dignified life. One thing to note is that from these people who just had this tragic boat incident, most of the Palestine refugees on that boat, and we estimate those to be between 25 and 30, come from Nahr al-Bared camp. This is a camp that was very much destroyed around 15 years ago in one of the rounds of violence in Lebanon. Two of these 25 to 30 people are UNRWA school children. These are people we know. These are young people who go to school, who have an education, who wanted to go to the other side in search for a better life for them and maybe for their next of kin. This is truly tragic. And my colleagues at UNRWA are horrified at the news. And our call to the donors, to the international community is nobody wants to be a refugee. Nobody wants to live such a humiliating life as Palestine refugees live in many of these camps. And one of the last sources of stability in the life of Palestine refugees is UNRWA. The schools that UNRWA kids go to, the health centers that Palestine refugees can access. This is big. This is an infrastructure that gives a bit of normality to Palestine refugees. And now even that UNRWA normality is at risk because of underfunding.
As we've seen, obviously taking journeys like this is so perilous. So, I mean, what other options are there for people who are desperately trying to leave?
One option is employment and to find employment. And this is a difficult situation because unemployment is really hitting hard at all Lebanese. It hits harder at those who are systemically and systematically thrown out of the system because there are so many professions that they cannot access. But one thing that UNRWA does provide employment, UNRWA does provide education, and UNRWA does provide the kind of education that can be then used online, especially in the digital world of post-COVID. So someone who's into IT or who has been trained at UNRWA vocational and training centers can provide IT services globally in the same way that many people in Bangalore in India do. And that is why UNRWA is central to the dignified life of a Palestine refugee. And that is why in a situation of almost entire collapse that the economic and financial system is in Lebanon, keeping UNRWA strong, giving it that that position, that strength in the lives of Palestine refugees can really mitigate and curb some of the risks that they are taking, because they feel they have nothing more to lose today in Lebanon, and maybe they have something to gain on the other side if they don't die.
Indeed. Thank you so much for your time. That is Tamara Alrifai for us.
Thank you.